Section 1. Hey guys, today we're going to talk about how I started learning English using only basic words. Picture this. You're sitting in a room. Everything is silent except the faint hum of life outside. You open your phone or a book, or maybe just your mouth, and try to say a single word in English. It comes out strange, maybe wrong, maybe not even real. You look around. Did anyone hear? Was it okay? Should I even keep going? Learning English from the very beginning is not like climbing a mountain. It's more like standing at the bottom of a dark staircase, holding a tiny candle, not sure where the next step is. And to be honest, sometimes that candle goes out. You might feel like, I can't do this. There's too much. People will laugh. I'm not smart enough. And you know what? That's fair. You probably won't survive this unless you keep going, unless you keep your candle lit. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Also, I want to know where you are. Drop your city and local time in the comments. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into today's journey together. I started learning English with absolutely nothing. I didn't have a teacher, I didn't have books, I didn't even know how to say apple in English. At first, English just sounded like music without meaning. People on TV talked fast. Songs had cool rhythm, but I didn't know what they were saying. I would nod along, sometimes repeat sounds I didn't understand, just to feel included, just to feel like I belonged. The first time I told myself, I want to speak English, I was scared. Where do I even begin? My own language felt so natural, so easy, and English felt like a secret only other people knew. But I didn't want to stay locked out. I wanted in, not just for work or school or travel. I wanted to open a door to the world. English felt like the key. So I started small, really small. One word at a time. I didn't try to learn grammar or long sentences. I just picked one word. I started with hi. Simple, right? One sound, one meaning, and I said it, out loud, to myself. Hi. Then I said it again. Hi. It felt silly, but it also felt like I was building something. Like the first brick of a house. Then came bye, then yes and no, then thanks. These were words I already kind of knew from movies and games, but saying them myself, that was different. It was scary at first. What if I sound wrong? What if people laugh? What if I can't remember? But no one laughed, because no one was listening. I practiced alone, in front of a mirror, in bed before sleeping, while brushing my teeth. Quietly, slowly, just moving my mouth, just getting used to the sounds. It wasn't about being perfect. It was about trying. And when I added please to my list, I suddenly realized something. These 5 or 6 words could already help me in real life, in a store, on a street, with a stranger. They were tiny tools, but powerful. I didn't learn them from a class. I learned them by hearing them again and again. I started paying attention. When someone said thank you in a movie, I paused. I repeated. I said it out loud. I wrote it down. I looked at the spelling. I tried to copy the tone. Was it soft, strong, fast? Some days I forgot. Some days I felt lazy. I didn't study. I didn't speak. But that's okay. Because this isn't school. This is life. And life is messy. The key is to come back. Just come back. One morning, I woke up and said, "Good morning" to myself. In English. Just for fun. I smiled. I felt like something had changed. My mouth moved differently. My brain made a new shape. A small one, but it was mine. This is how it began. Not with grammar rules, not with big textbooks, not with a classroom, just with the desire to try, and with tiny, basic words. Some of those first words I still use every day. Sorry. Okay. Help. They are simple, but they carry so much feeling. And when you can express a feeling with just one word, that's power. I also made mistakes. I said "tank you" instead of "thank you" for almost 2 months. Nobody corrected me. I had to hear it clearly in a video before I noticed. At first I was embarrassed, but then I laughed. And I kept going. Another time I said "no please" when I meant "no, thank you." A woman looked at me funny, but I just smiled. I learned from that. You always learn. I kept repeating the words. I would walk around my house saying them. I would say yes to a cup, no to a spoon, hello to the window. I would act out little scenes in my mind. I'm in a shop. I need water. Water, please. I lose something. Help, please. It was like playing a game, a slow, careful game. The more I played, the more confident I became. And confidence isn't about knowing everything. It's about not giving up when you know very little. So if you're just starting out, here's what I'd say to you. Don't aim for perfection. Aim for repetition. Say the same word 5 times today. Then say it again tomorrow. That's learning. Don't wait for the right time. The right time is now. While you're walking. While you're cleaning. While you're alone. Speak. Whisper. Murmur. But do it. This is how you begin, with the smallest words, with the quietest voice, but with the biggest heart. Section 2. The first time I used English in real life, I felt like a little kid holding a balloon in the wind. I wasn't sure if I should let go or hold tighter. The words were simple. Hello. Bye. Thank you. But using them out loud, with a real person, that was a different kind of test. I remember standing at a small food shop. The person behind the counter looked at me, waiting. I froze for a second. I wanted to ask for something, but my mouth stayed shut. Then I whispered, "Hello." It came out soft, like a secret. But the person smiled and said, "Hello, back." That was it. One word. But it opened a tiny door between us. After that, I tried again in other places. When someone gave me something, I said, "Thank you." Sometimes the other person smiled. Sometimes they said nothing. But inside me, it felt like a small win, like I had passed a level in a video game. Goodbye was easier to say because you walk away right after. Less pressure. I practiced saying it at stores, on the phone, or when someone left a room. It made me feel polite, like I knew the rules, even just a little. At first, I repeated these 3 words all the time. Hello, thank you, goodbye, over and over, sometimes to people, sometimes to myself. I made small games with them. I'd look at the mirror and say, hello, thank you, goodbye. Then again with a smile, then again in a loud voice, then in a silly voice. It helped my mouth feel less strange with English. And then came the moment I used all 3 in one real-life chat. I went to buy something simple, a bottle of water. I said, hello, asked with my hand pointing, then paid. I said, thank you, as the person handed it to me. And as I left, goodbye. 3 basic words, 1 real conversation, no grammar rules, no big vocabulary. But I felt like a champion. That's the power of small words. They give you courage. They are like training wheels on a bike. You might not ride fast, but you are riding. That's what matters. But even with just those words, I made mistakes. One time I said bye-bye to someone who was clearly my boss. It was a bit too friendly. He looked confused. I learned that bye is safer in formal places. Bye-bye is more for friends or kids. Another time I forgot to say thank you after someone helped me, and I felt guilty later. That mistake stayed in my mind, so I never forgot to say it again. What's funny is, I started to feel proud of these small moments, like when I said thank you with the right voice, or when someone replied, "You're welcome." That reply, "You're welcome," made me smile the first time I heard it. It was like being part of a secret club. I started listening more carefully to how people used those words, in movies, in YouTube videos, in short clips online. I'd pause and repeat. I'd notice the tone. Some people say thanks fast. Others say thank you slow and sweet. Some say bye like it's nothing. Others make it sound warm and friendly. I tried copying their sounds. Sometimes I'd get it right. Other times, it was awkward. But I kept going. Slowly, these words became habits. Not just English words. My words. They lived inside me. I didn't need to translate them anymore. They came naturally. I stopped thinking in my language first. I just said hello, like breathing. And you know what? That's the first step to real learning. When the word feels normal in your mouth, when you don't freeze, when you can use it without fear. I also noticed the power of using these words with strangers, in shops, on the street, even online. People respond to kindness, and hello, thank you, and goodbye are all kind words. They show respect. They show that you care, that you're trying. Sometimes I'd make it a challenge. How many people could I say hello to in a day? How many thank yous could I give away like little gifts? And each time I did it, my fear dropped a little more. Then I tried writing the words too, on sticky notes, on paper, on my phone. I wrote hello in big letters and stuck it on my wall. Thank you went on the fridge. Goodbye near the door. Every time I walked by, I said them out loud. My room became my classroom. My voice became my teacher. And slowly, those 3 little words became my friends. They were there when I needed them, when I felt shy, when I needed to be polite, when I didn't know what else to say. Because sometimes, just saying hello is enough. It starts something, a smile, a chat, a connection. It shows you're open. And thank you? That one builds bridges, even if your grammar is broken, even if you say nothing else right. People feel it. They know what it means. And goodbye? That one closes the moment in a nice way, clean, polite, warm. I didn't know then that I was building a base, a strong one. I just thought I was learning a few words. But really, I was starting to understand how English connects people, how even the most basic word can carry emotion, tone, respect. So if you're just starting like I was, don't worry about big words yet. Don't rush into long conversations. Focus on these. Hello. Thank you. Goodbye. Use them every day, in your house, in the mirror, in your dreams even. Say them with joy. Say them with purpose. Make them your own. Because sometimes, small words carry the biggest meaning. Section 3. When I started learning English, I didn't just hear new words. I started seeing the world in a new way. It's strange, but once you know a word in another language, it changes how you look at the thing it names. A table isn't just a piece of wood anymore. It's table. It has a sound, a shape, a name that feels different than your own language. That's when I realized English wasn't just something I would learn. It was something I would live. So I began a small, quiet habit. Every day I looked around my home, my street, even my bag, and tried to name things in English. At first I had no idea what anything was called. I'd look at a spoon and think, okay, what is this in English? I'd guess. Sometimes wrong. Then I'd check. Spoon. Ah. Spoon. I said it out loud. I touched it again. Spoon. It felt more real. Not just an object anymore. A word. Next came chair, table, bag, phone, door, window. These were things I saw every single day, but they were now part of my English world. They became part of my English brain. I didn't need full sentences, just words. And slowly, I started seeing English labels in my mind when I looked at things. It was like putting little invisible sticky notes all over the world. I remember walking to the store one morning. My mind was quiet, and I passed a bench. My old self wouldn't think twice. But now my new learning brain whispered, bench. I smiled to myself. That word used to be foreign. Now it belonged to me. That's the secret power of learning with objects. They don't move, they don't judge, they don't correct you. They're just there, waiting for you to name them, over and over again. I took this idea further. I started writing small labels and sticking them around my room. Door, light, mirror, chair, Every time I walked by, I read the label. Sometimes I said it aloud. Sometimes I whispered it. Sometimes I sang it. I didn't care if it sounded silly. I cared about remembering it. Then I added action words. I'd say, open, while opening the window. Close, while shutting the fridge. Sit, when I sat down. It turned my day into practice, and I didn't need a single textbook. Sometimes I'd take a few minutes and just walk around naming things. Shoe, book, fan, clock. It became fun, a challenge. How many objects can I name in this room? 10? 15? More? If I didn't know the word, I took a photo. Then later, I'd search it online and learn it. One time, I didn't know the word for hanger. That weird little thing that holds clothes. I searched for it. Thing that holds shirts in closet. Boom. Hanger. Now I'll never forget. Another time I saw a word on a cleaning bottle. Surface. I didn't know what it meant, but I kept seeing it. Kills 99.9% of surface germs. So I searched. Surface meaning. Now I understand. It means the top layer of something, like a table. Again, a small word, a big impact. I learned to connect English to actions and objects, not just to translations. When I pick up a cup, I say cup. When I drink, I say drink. When I wash, I say wash. It's not perfect, but it's real. And real is better than perfect. Soon, even when I wasn't trying, the words came. I'd brush my teeth and think, toothbrush. I'd hear rain and think rain. I'd open a bag and think zipper. I didn't need to memorize anymore. The words lived in my routine. One time I told a friend, I'm learning English by looking at things. He laughed. That's it? But later, he saw me name 20 things in my room without stopping. He stopped laughing. This way of learning also helped me think in English. At first, my brain would say, this is a pen, in my language, and then try to translate. But with practice, the word pen just appeared. Fast, natural. That's when I knew I was making real progress. There was one funny moment I won't forget. I saw a picture of a vegetable I didn't know in English, cucumber. I had eaten it 100 times before, but now I knew its name in English. The next time I saw it at the store, I smiled and whispered, cucumber. It felt like I had a secret, like I had discovered something new, even though it was always there. That's the magic. The world around you doesn't change, but the way you see it does. Even walking outside became a lesson. I'd pass a car and think, car. See a bird, bird. Hear a dog bark, dog. Smell flowers, flower. Feel wind, wind. I wasn't just moving through space anymore, I was learning while I lived. No classroom, no schedule, just noticing, just naming. And this helped me feel like English wasn't some faraway thing. It was here, in my kitchen, on my shoes, in my hands. You can do this too. Start today, pick one room, try to name 5 things in English. Then tomorrow, name 10. Don't worry about grammar. Don't worry if your pronunciation isn't perfect. Just build your world, one word at a time. If you don't know the word, describe it to Google or an AI. Search thing you turn to turn on lights. You'll find switch. Search thing with time on wall. You'll get clock. Use your curiosity. Let it guide you. Before long, you'll start thinking in English without trying. The cup won't be cup in your language first. It'll be cup right away. That's real growth. And it all begins with looking at the world differently. Section 4. At some point in my journey, I realized that just repeating random English words wasn't enough. I needed a list, a personal word list. Not something from a textbook or a school. Not just a pile of vocabulary someone told me to memorize. I wanted a word list that felt like me. So I started collecting words like little treasures. Not the biggest or hardest ones, just words that I heard often, or that made me feel something. Words I actually wanted to use. My own list, built from my life. The first word I added was coffee. Not because it was fancy, but because I love it. Every morning I drink it. And now I could name it in English. Coffee. It sounded soft, nice. I said it while holding my cup. I whispered it before that first warm sip. Coffee. It became a word that mattered to me. That was the rule for my list. The word had to mean something to me. If it didn't connect to my daily life, I didn't write it down. Next came phone, then keys, then bus. These weren't special, but I used them often, so I added them. I wrote them in a small notebook I carried everywhere. I didn't write the translation, just the English word. I wanted my brain to start linking the English word to the object, not to my native word. Then I started adding words for feelings. Tired, happy, hungry. I'd say them out loud when I felt that way. I'm tired. I'm hungry. Even if I was alone, even if I only said one word, it helped me feel like English was part of my life, not just a subject to study. Sometimes I'd hear a word in a song or a video, and I'd pause, write it down, and come back to it later. One time I heard crazy in a song and didn't know what it meant, but I liked the sound. Later I found out it means wild or not normal. I added it to the list. Not because I needed it, but because I liked it. This made my list feel like a diary. Each word had a reason, a memory, a feeling. Over time, I started organizing my list into small groups. Things I use every day: phone, bag, shoes, bed. Places I go: store, school, park, street. Feelings: cold, happy, scared, bored. Actions: eat, sleep, run, open, close. Random favorites: moon, rain, music, chocolate. I didn't need hundreds of words. I just needed useful ones, personal ones. Sometimes I'd write little drawings next to the word or use colors. Rain got a blue drop. Hot got a red line. These little things helped me remember, not like school, like art. And then something changed. When I looked at my list, it felt like a part of me, not something to memorize, not homework, but a map of my world in English. One evening, I looked at my keys and said, keys. Then I said, "Where are my keys?" even though I knew where they were. It was just fun to say. My own life, in a new language. It felt powerful, like I was creating my second voice. There were hard words, too. Ones I liked, but couldn't say well. Scissors was tough, so was vegetable. But they were real. They were mine. I kept them on the list. I didn't erase the hard ones. I faced them. That taught me something important. It's okay to struggle with a word. Just don't give up on it. Come back to it later. Try again. Let it sit, like soup on the stove. Let it get warm before you taste it again. Once a week, I reviewed my list. I didn't test myself. I didn't quiz myself. I just read it. I said the words out loud. I added new ones. I crossed out a few I never used. It was like gardening. Some words grew, some didn't. And over time, my word list wasn't just a tool. It became my little English world. You can do this too. Start today. Get a notebook, a note app, anything. Call it My English Words. Add 5 things from your life. Just 5. Don't think too hard. Look around. What's near you right now? Is there a cup, a pen, a book? Are you feeling tired? Are you sitting on a chair? Add those. Don't worry about grammar or spelling too much. You can fix that later. The most important thing is to connect the word to your real life, to your feelings, to your routine. Because when the word becomes personal, it becomes unforgettable. Some people say, you have to learn 1,000 words to speak well. Maybe, but I say, start with 10 words that matter to you. Build from there. If a word has no meaning to you, it won't stay in your mind. That's why I didn't start with big words like culture or economy. I started with sock and rice and tired and cold. My world, my words. And the more I owned these words, the more confident I felt. I knew them. I used them. And they built a strong base for the next step. Now, when I hear someone speak English and they say key or music or hungry, I don't need to translate. I feel the word. I remember when I added it to my list. I remember why I cared. And that's the goal. Make English personal. Make it yours. So go on. Build your list. One word at a time. Section 5. When I first tried speaking English out loud, it was like standing on a stage with no lights, just silence, and my own shaky voice. No one was there, but I still felt nervous. I wasn't afraid of people laughing. I was afraid of how I sounded. My voice felt strange in English, like it didn't belong to me. Saying words inside your head is one thing, but opening your mouth and letting them come out, that's a big step. My first attempts were quiet, broken, almost like a whisper. I would say, "Hello," and then quickly look around, even if I was alone. Why did I feel so silly? Because when you speak a new language, it's like wearing a new skin. It feels too tight at first. You hear every mistake, every wrong sound. You doubt yourself every second. At first, I only practiced when I was completely alone. I'd wait until no one was home. I'd go to the bathroom and close the door. I'd stare at myself in the mirror and try to say one word, just one. Yes, then number, then okay. Then I'd move to small sentences. I am fine. This is my bag. I like music. Each word felt heavy. Each word felt like it didn't want to come out. But I pushed. I forced the sounds. Not loud, but clear. Coffee. Sleep. Rain. I am tired. Slowly, I heard my voice change. Not just the sound, but the shape of it. The English thu was the worst. My tongue didn't know what to do. I would say tink instead of think, or tank you instead of thank you. I hated how it sounded. I wanted to stop, but I didn't. I kept saying it again and again. Think. Thank you. Thirsty. I bit my tongue sometimes just to get the sound right. The mirror became my classroom. My mouth became my student. I watched my lips move. I listened closely. I laughed at myself. I failed often. But I never stopped trying. There was a day I remember well. I stood in the kitchen and said out loud, I am hungry. It was a simple sentence. No one heard it. But I felt powerful, like I had claimed a small piece of the English world and made it mine. Then I made a promise to myself. I would say at least 5 English sentences out loud every day, no matter how silly they sounded, no matter how small they were. I kept that promise. Sometimes I said them while cooking, sometimes while walking, sometimes just before sleeping. I am sleepy. This is my phone. Today is hot. I like this song. Where is the bag? They were short, basic, but they were mine. They came from me, not from a book. But the fear didn't go away quickly. Sometimes I would be about to speak, and something inside would stop me. A voice that said, "You'll sound stupid. Your accent is bad. This is not your language." That voice was strong, but I learned how to fight it. I reminded myself, everybody starts as a beginner. Even native speakers had to learn when they were kids. And kids don't care if they make mistakes. They just talk. So I decided to be more like a kid. Brave, free, messy. I also recorded myself speaking, just with my phone. I'd say a few sentences and then listen. At first, it was hard to hear. My voice sounded strange. My words were slow. But with time, I noticed something amazing. I was improving. One week, I listened to an old recording and compared it with a new one. The difference was huge. My voice had more rhythm. My words were clearer. I was still slow, but more sure. That gave me a boost of confidence. I kept recording. There were also fun tricks I used. I would read small things out loud. Signs, ads, product labels. I'd pick up a bottle and say, "This is shampoo," or see a clock and say, "It is 9 o'clock." Talking to myself didn't feel crazy. It felt like practice, like I was tuning my voice. Sometimes I copied people from videos. I would play one sentence and pause, then try to say it exactly the same way. Not just the words, but the emotion, the speed, the pauses. I became a voice actor in my own room. Of course, I made tons of mistakes. I said, "He hungry" instead of "he is hungry." I said, "I know like" instead of "I don't like." But I learned to laugh at those mistakes, to treat them like steps, not failures. One night I even had a dream where I spoke in English. Just one line, "Come here." But it was me saying it, not someone else. That's when I realized the fear was getting smaller. My English self was waking up. And yes, I still felt nervous in front of real people. That fear didn't go away quickly. But the more I practiced alone, the stronger I felt when I had to speak outside. Even one good sentence gave me courage. So here's the truth. The fear of speaking doesn't mean you're weak. It means you care. It means you want to be understood. And that's beautiful. But the only way to kill the fear is to face it, word by word, sentence by sentence. You don't need a classroom. You don't need a teacher. You need your voice, your mirror, your will. Start with one sentence today. Say it out loud. Repeat it 5 times. Then tomorrow say 2. Then 3. It will feel weird, then better, then normal. Because your English voice is not something you find. It's something you build. Section 6. There was a turning point in my learning, and it came the day I truly listened. Not just to music or videos, but to the sounds of English. Not the meaning, just the rhythm, the melody, the little beats in how people spoke. It was like discovering a new kind of music hidden in everyday talk. Before that, I thought English was only about words and grammar. But then I noticed something. Native speakers don't talk like the textbooks. They don't say, "I am going to the store," with perfect, clear words. They say, "I'm gonna go to the store," or even, "I'm gonna go." Everything sounded fast, relaxed, like a song with missing notes. At first, I was frustrated. I thought, why don't they say what I learned? I'd watch a video and only catch 1 or 2 words. I'd hear a native speaker talk and it felt like one long blur. "What you doing later?" Wait, what? Was that even English? But then I stopped trying to understand every word. I started focusing on the sounds instead. I began to hear the small patterns, the way voices rose and fell, the way some sounds disappeared. And I realized, if I wanted to speak English well, I had to listen not just with my brain, but with my ears. So I began a new routine, sound practice. Every day, for 10 or 15 minutes, I listened to English not to understand it, but to feel it. I'd put on a short video, close my eyes, and just listen to the rhythm. Not the grammar, not the vocabulary, just the sound. I started hearing music in everyday English. Listen to this. "I don't know what she's doing. You want to come with?" "He's kinda tired." They're short, fast, and full of connected sounds, but they carry so much feeling, so much life. I began to copy these patterns even before I understood every word. Shadowing became my favorite tool. I'd pick a short video or podcast clip and repeat after the speaker as soon as they talked. Like an echo. At first, I was slow. I'd fall behind. I couldn't keep up. But I kept trying. I didn't care if I said every word right. I just wanted my mouth to get used to the rhythm. I wanted my voice to dance like theirs. Sometimes I used subtitles. I'd listen once without them, then with subtitles, then again without. Then I'd try saying the whole line myself. Hey, how's it going? Pretty good, how about you? Simple lines, natural rhythm. I repeated them 100 times, and with time, my mouth started to move more easily. My tongue stopped fighting. My sentences flowed better. And this is important. I stopped worrying about big words. I focused on the small, common ones that made real speech flow. Words like, just, really, you know. These are everywhere in spoken English. They may look boring, but they are the glue of conversation. So instead of saying, I am very tired today because I did not sleep well, I practiced saying, I'm super tired today, didn't sleep good. Same meaning, but shorter, smoother, more natural. Sometimes I'd just repeat a phrase 20 times in a row to feel how it rolled off the tongue. Gotta go. Sounds good. Let me see. I'm not sure. Hold on. I didn't worry about using them in conversation yet. I just let them live in my mouth, like little songs I could hum when I was alone. One day I was watching a movie with subtitles off. I wasn't understanding every word, but I noticed something amazing. I could follow the feeling, the tone, the speed, the energy. I could guess what was happening just by listening to the sounds. That's when I understood. English is not just about meaning, it's about music. And the more I tuned into that music, the more natural I sounded. I wasn't just learning what to say, I was learning how to say it. This helped me with confidence, too. I didn't panic when someone spoke fast. I stopped needing to understand every word. I focused on tone, body language, key phrases. It made conversations less scary. I also created a list of spoken patterns I loved. Things like, you know what I mean? I guess so. That's cool. No way. For real? These aren't formal. They're not from a textbook, but they are real. And once you use them, people hear you differently. They hear you, not a script. I used to think learning English meant becoming perfect, but now I know it means becoming natural. And that starts with sound. So here's what you can do. Start a sound journal. Pick 5 short phrases that you like the sound of. Write them down. Say them every day. Not like a robot, like a singer. Don't aim for perfect grammar. Aim for flow, rhythm, feeling. Even if you only say, how's it going? 20 times today, that's practice. That's real. That's progress. Because once your mouth knows the rhythm, the words will follow, and your English will stop being just correct. It will start to feel alive.